Hello and welcome. I'm so excited to have you here for the gut stress connection. This is a little mini training on the connection between these two, how your gut influences your stress and how your stress influences your gut and how that could be showing up in your life. This is something that I see far too common with nearly every single client and everybody I come into contact to, just because of the simple way that we live our lives these days is always on the go. We have a lot going on. We have full plates, whether that's managing the family, managing a business, or just managing your health. A lot of these things can have an impact on one another. And I want to share with you what that could look like. So, first, just a quick introduction. I'm Elishia. I'm a functional nutritionist, root cause practitioner, and I honestly have a deep personal understanding of the frustrations of this gut stress connection. I struggled with bloat, poor digestive issues, chronic constipation, brain fog, hormone imbalances, food stress. God, so many things that I couldn't even remember. I had to take a list with me to the doctor because I couldn't remember everything that was wrong with me and what was going on. But unfortunately, I was completely let down by traditional methods of approaching healthcare. I was let down by methods provided by my naturopath. And I was left without answers. I was told everything looks normal in your labs, everything looks fine, but I certainly didn't feel fine or normal. Or at one point, I was even told it's all in your head when my hair was falling out massively from my head. I was like, no, it's literally not in my head. I was told maybe I should try therapy. And I was just so disappointed and so disheartened. And I felt like there was nothing could be done to help me. And even though I have a bachelor's degree in nutrition, even though I've studied health for decades, and I couldn't figure out what was going on with me, I couldn't get to the root of it, and I couldn't find somebody to help me. And I was like, okay, I need to redirect and figure out what's going on. And what I uncovered just massively changed my health. And I was like, why don't people know more about this? And that's why I'm on a mission to change the way that we do healthcare. I really take a holistic approach, a comprehensive approach when it comes to uncovering what are the root causes of your symptoms. And I really aim to teach my clients how to understand their bodies and how to become masters of their own health, how to really just understand what's going on so they know what to do next. And I really believe that is a big, big piece of how we can self-heal. So anyways, enough about me. For this mini training, I wanted to talk out to you about just a few digestion basics. I'm not going to go too far into depth here because this is just a little quick overview, but I go more into depth of this in some of my online courses. I want to talk about the gut-brain connection, some common gut-related issues you might be experiencing, and then, of course, what are we going to do about it? Some strategies and quick tips that you can use to help optimize your digestion. So, gut basics, real quick. A lot of people think that when we're just talking about the gut, we're just talking about the stomach or the intestines, but there's really so much more that goes into digestion and really the GI or gastrointestinal tract. We really look at this from a north to south process. Um, Typically, we're looking at uh, the north being in the mouth. And that's meanings like you have good oral health, you can chew your food, you are chewing your food. Um, your esophagus, all the way down to where you swallow, all the way down to the stomach, where you're producing stomach acid to break down food, and then how that moves into your intestines, and then all the way out through your colon or your bowels is how we typically refer to it. But we don't think about some of these accessory organs that are super important in digestion, like your pancreas that produces enzymes, or your liver and gallbladder that produces bile to help break down fat soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K. And then, of course, we've got, I think a lot of people are familiar with maybe the term microbiota or the microbiome, which entails, the bacteria that's needed to help break down those things and that support your immune system and that help even produce vitamins that we need. But I think the commonly overlooked part of digestion is actually the brain. So like I just said, digestion is really a north to south process. And so we need to go even farther up north than the mouth and the brain. Digestion really, really begins in the brain. And so this is where this big gut brain connection comes in, or we could call it the gut stress connection, because it's they're very they're very intimately connected is the word I'm looking for. So the brain has a direct effect on the gut and vice versa. They are constantly communicating with each other. Let's talk about an example. So when you are stressed out, let's say you're going to give a big presentation or you've got a big day ahead of you or something like that, and you're really nervous, right? You're super nervous. And what happens is you get like that butterfly feeling in your stomach, in which you could maybe have gastric emptying, right? Like your bowels are just like, oh no. Or maybe you seize up and you don't go to the bathroom. Or maybe your stomach hurts, right? Like that's your brain sending signals to your gut, because they're just communicating all the time based and not even really related to digestion, right? Or something that you ate. It's really related to the environment and how you're perceiving that stress or what's creating some anxiety in you. Vice versa, the gut, a lot of people don't know this, but it's commonly referred to as the second brain, because we produce chemicals in there that are just independent from the rest of the body. For example, 90% of your total body serotonin and 50% of your total body dopamine are made in the gut. These are commonly referred to as brain chemicals, but most of them are made in the gut. And so it has a direct impact on how you think, how you feel, on your energy and your mood, related back to the health of your gut. So, it's no wonder that gut function has such a dramatic impact on brain function and your overall stress. It's really like this intimate connection is a big reason why incorporating some psychological approaches and stress reduction techniques are more effective than medical treatments alone. So, next slide. So, when we're talking about the brain and this gut connection, I like to talk about two systems that your body is operating in. One, you're either operating in a sympathetic state, which is fight or flight. This is what prepares your body for like a stressful or emergency type situations. It really slows down body processes that are deemed less important when you're in an emergency situation. And these include things like self repair, digestion, urination, libido, um, recovery, weight loss, detoxification. These are all things that really go on the back burner because your body needs to put all its energy and resources into survival. This is really what's considered as the body's number one priority is stress. And whether that's perceived stress, whether that's sitting in traffic, whether that's your giant to-do list, or even maybe a toxic load on the body, your body is going to prioritize that over the recovery and feeling really good. The second one here is parasympathetic. This is really what's referred to as the rest and digest state. And this is kind of what's in charge of like those ordinary processes. This is kind of known as like the feed and breathe. And it's really the parasympathetic job to conserve energy, to restore and to repair. And this is like relaxation and resting, feeding, breathing, all the things that are the opposite of fighting for survival. Right. And so these aren't deemed necessary to live if there's something more immediate threat going on. And so your body is operating in one of these two states. So let's talk about how maybe that stress can affect your gut. So what I often see is people who are operating in that sympathetic state, right? They are prioritizing fight or flight or not prioritizing rest and digest. And so what happens is the body reduces digestive ability. It's like, no, we got to figure out this to-do list. I've got so much to do today. This comes first. I'm using that as an example because that's the most common one that I see, is we're just really overwhelmed by all the things that we need to do. And so in order to prioritize that, everything else goes on the back burner, right? So reduced digestive ability, meaning your body's not producing enough stomach acid or bile or enzymes to break down food. And now here's the thing, is that stomach acid is a is not only just for breaking down food, but it's also your body's first line of defense against pathogens. And so when we come across, let's say, parasites in our food, which we do all the time, if our stomach acid is adequate, we should just break it down and digest it like a protein and eliminate it. But when that suffers, then things move farther downstream where they're not supposed to end up. And this could look like food particles or even these pathogens, right? So it really creates this favorable environment for pathogens. And that's where I see a lot of bacterial overgrowth, yeast overgrowth, parasites. And then, of course, those things all come with their own symptoms, right? And then further down here at the line, right, when I said we're not breaking down our food all the way, what happens is like those food particles should be broken down, but when they end up in the intestines in a larger form than they should be, or when these pathogens end up down there, what happens is we get what's commonly referred to as leaky gut. Really, it's called intestinal permeability. And the way I like to describe leaky gut or intestinal permeability is like if you were to go deep sea diving, right? You'd want to wear this thick neoprene, I think it's neoprene wetsuit where you're staying warm, nothing's getting in, and you've got this sweet protection. But really when we have what's called leaky gut, is it's like deep sea diving in Lululemon pants. And there's gaps and things come in and out, and things that are supposed to stay in the gut leak out into the bloodstream and they go systemic. And that's where we get inflammation or immune responses, food sensitivities, really brain dysfunction, poor sleep. I mean, it could go on from there. And then the other one I didn't quite touch on here is as stress can decrease our beneficial bacteria, which gives us low immune protection. So like some common symptoms that I see, right, is when we have, looking at this very first one, reduced digestive ability. Common things I see is heartburn, acid reflux. Oh my gosh, so many of my stressed out clients struggle with these two. Constipation and diarrhea, right? Everything downstream suffers. It's a north to south process. Bloating, headaches, sleep quality suffers. And then when sleep suffers, you have sugar cravings or poor food choices, and those have their own effects. Low energy, and then in turn, poor stress tolerance. Those can all, or short temper, these can all come back to the gut. But a lot of people don't realize this, is you could not have a single gut symptom or digestive symptom and still need to work on your gut, because the gut can influence every other touch point in our body. So this is really a short list of things that you could be experiencing, even if you don't have any gut issues. So immune system, 70 to 80% of your immune system is located in your gut. And if that function is off because of stress or other things going on, the immune system's going to suffer, right? And so that's where we see allergies, especially right now in the springtime, big seasonal allergies, a lot of that going on. Food sensitivities, maybe you're just like reacting to foods more, autoimmunity, repeat infections. I don't need to go through all of these individually, but you can look at this and see, your hormones are affected, which manage stress, manage weight, manage your libido. Obviously the brain function is going to suffer, anxiety and depression, brain fog. And then what happens in the gut should stay in the gut, but when it doesn't, it goes systemic. I see that come out in the skin a lot, and I see a lot of skin issues happening there as well. So there's a lot here, right? And maybe all of these, maybe none of these relate. You're picking out and being like, oh my God, that is so me. But this is a good wake up call to be like, oh my gosh, okay, maybe there's something going on in my gut and I need to take a look at what's going on there. Maybe it's related to stress, and maybe they're actually feeding on each other, because any of these things that you see here all create a a burden or another stress load on the body. And so it's like kind of a cyclical thing here, is that, stress isn't just emotional or just as an environmental and perception of what's going on in the environment around you, but it's also this stress that's on your body based on toxic load or any of these other things that we've mentioned. So I know, like, when you're looking at this, you could be like, oh my gosh, what is going on? And so I like to just always touch on my philosophy when it comes to health, nutrition, looking at the human body, and symptoms, because it can feel overwhelming. And so I always like to come back to my philosophy, which is one, everything in nature wants to survive and will do so by any means necessary. And two is that nature doesn't make mistakes. Everything is with intention and purpose, and that purpose is protection. And so, what is your body protecting you from? And so, let me give you a quick example of this. Um, you know, the body doesn't just, high cholesterol. God, this one I see all the time, right? The body just doesn't accidentally make too much cholesterol, right? And then we're told to take a statin to reduce it. I want to know why. Why does your body have too much cholesterol? It's intentional and with purpose. And so I want to know, what is that protecting you from? Why does your body have allergies or skin rashes? What is it trying to get your attention for? What is going on there? And so I really like to look at this, when you're experiencing any symptoms or fatigue or stress, even, like, your body is prioritizing that, right? It's prioritizing some survival. And so what is it? What is that survival purpose? What is it trying to protect you from? I hope that makes sense. And so, like we said, your gut is intimately connected to the rest of your body. So let's provide the love and support it needs to function in tip-top shape. So I've got a few tips for you here. Just a quick recap. Like we said, digestion begins in the brain, right? And so if we're in that fight or flight, that's going to be your body's number one. And the digestion will go on the back burner. So we really want to work at that north to south process and focus on supporting that stress. It's not just about what you eat, but how you eat and how you think. And so honestly, one of my number one tips is relaxed eating. It seriously might seem like so insignificant, but I can't tell you how many times we just need to sit down and chew our food. How we just need to chill out and relax and appreciate and connect, really chewing our food well. So many of us eat on the go, or we're so busy. We're scrolling on our phone. Honestly, one of the best things you can do immediately for your health is to just sit down and chew your food undistracted, without the TV, without the phone. Maybe sit outside. Oh my gosh, that would go just a million miles for you. One of my favorite techniques for getting into a relaxed state for eating is listening to binaural beats. I just literally put on this Pandora station in the background, and it's like our dinner music now. My grandmother comes over and she loves it, and we love it. And it's like, it's kind of funny because some of the songs feel like you're in a spa, but you know what? It's like that music is there for a reason, right? It puts you in that relaxed meditative state. I absolutely love it. And it's one of my favorite things I've adapted during mealtime. And it can really help you relax and take your time to chew your food so that you're in that place where your body is focusing on resting, digesting, and repair. Eat some supportive foods. This is hands down going to look so different than what the mainstream message is on nutrition. And this is based on my own experience of what I've seen be the most effective, probably one of the single most effective things I've ever seen in every single client's health, is to start optimizing your protein from animal food sources. I'm talking eggs, chicken, beef. If you do dairy, maybe yogurt or some raw milk. Seafood. These are going to be amazing, amazing supportive foods. And what happens is these proteins are broken down into what's called amino acids. And these amino acids serve as the building blocks for every single system and function in your body: your hormones, your tissue and muscle repair, your circulatory system, your blood circulation. Seriously, everything relies on these amino acids. And there's nothing comparable to what you can get from animal food sources. Another one that might seem really insignificant, but so effective is watching the sunrise. Light is information for your body, and it can give your body the information to produce hormones at particular times. And so, right, we're talking about stress here. Um, in this gut stress connection, cortisol is the number one stress hormone. And that sunrise and that light exposure tells your body when to make cortisol, when to make melatonin. And this can really set your body up for the rest of the day. And it tells your body when to produce hormones for digestion, for sleeping, for energy. Just like getting up and watching the sunrise doesn't need to be something you do on vacation. Like this is something you could incorporate in your day today, tomorrow, I guess, depending on what time you're watching this. And that it's just, oh my gosh, it goes such a long way, and it can really help relax your body too. And then another one, great tip, easy that you can implement right away, is eating breakfast within 60 minutes of waking up. This provides amazing support for that overall stress load on your body. When we just wake up and we drink coffee, we go work out under artificial lights, or we start our day, we don't sit down and take the time to eat a protein rich breakfast, your body is going to remain in that fight or flight state. And it's just no good for your blood sugar. It's no good for the rest of your hormones. Surviving on adrenaline and caffeine is not going to serve you in the long run. Sitting down and eating breakfast, oh my gosh, such a big improvement. I highly, highly recommend one or any of all these tips. One of my other favorite support tools that I really love for stress, gut, and gut connection is King Coffee. Honestly, I threw this in here last minute because I was like, oh my gosh, I wish everybody knew about this. This has been such a game changer in my own personal health. And it's so easy to implement. It's just like such an easy swap in your day, and it can really help with blood sugar, promoting pathogen cleanup, detoxification, hormones, brain function. But what I really love about it is it helps reduce stress and anxiety. It is just unlike other coffee, and the magic is really in the reishi spores. And this isn't like other mushroom coffee that actually tastes like mushrooms, um, which are disgusting in my opinion. Tastes like a cup of coffee. And the reishi in here is 80 times stronger than regular varieties, and that is where the magic is in. I have clients who struggle with anxiety and stress, and they've said like, oh my God, this has made such a difference for me. You don't get that racing heart palpitations. And it's such an effortless way to add something really supportive into your day. So highly, highly recommend checking out King Coffee. We'll share a link with you guys. And then next steps, digging in deeper, removing stressors on the body, whether those be emotional, physical, environmental. So, right, like start with the basics, foundations. Let me just go back real quick. Foundations are so key. Like if you can start with some of these things, it'll go such a long way. King Coffee is just a super awesome bonus. And then maybe you need to dig a little bit deeper, right? This could be we're coming and working with a practitioner one-on-one, doing some functional lab testing, figure out what's going on in the body on a deeper level. But some really big things would be focusing on blood sugar, nutritional and mineral deficiencies, supporting any kind of dysfunction in your liver, gallbladder, or colon, and addressing underlying infections and toxins, and some nervous system support. These are all some really great things that you could do as a next step, right? Start with the basics and then optimize. Start with that low-hanging fruit and go from there. But I do have some support tools that you guys can do on your own if you want to start diving into some of these things. You've got your free gift. So you can check out the Gut Health Breakthrough Guide. I gave you 6 tips. These are things that I wish all my clients were doing before they came to work with me, so we could just dive right into underlying toxins and pathogens. This is such a phenomenal way to get your health on track. And sometimes this might be all that you need. So I highly recommend checking that out. If you're looking for a little more targeted support, I highly recommend checking out my new blog series on symptom relief. I use this assessment with every single client in my practice, and it really helps me figure out exactly what systems in their body are dysfunctioning, how they relate to other systems in the body. And I usually use this in corporation with a functional lab test. However, on its own, it provides so much information that I wanted to make it available to the public. So you can purchase this assessment form. I ask you so many questions in there because I want to know it all. And basically at the end of it, you'll get pumped out this little report here, right? And so based on where you score high on this graph, for example, this person has a high vitamin need, or their pituitary and their thyroid needs some love. I talk about all of that and what this means in this blog series. And you can purchase one of these assessments. Sorry, I'm losing my words there. Purchase one of these assessments so it can help guide you towards exactly what parts of your body need the most love, why they're dysfunctioning, and what to actually do about it. This is such an invaluable, low-cost option to start taking some targeted support and action right away. And then, of course, like I mentioned before, foundations are everything. Seriously, I started my practice with nutrition, and it is a cornerstone. Single-handedly getting nutrition on point with the tips I teach inside this course have been the most effective tool I've ever used in my practice, between lab testing, protocols, you name it. This has been the most effective, and I turned it into a course because I realized like I was repeating myself and answering the same questions over, and realizing that I couldn't share all the information that I wanted to share with my clients around this in just a session. And so I put it into a course so that you could do it on your own. It's amazingly simple, and I break it down in week by week. Here's what to do. Here's why I'm teaching you to do this thing. And some practical tips and tools and resources so that you can implement it right away. I'm all about simplicity and ease. The more simple you make it, the more effective it becomes. And that's why I made this course. And so every single client I've worked with, this is what I take them through. And this is just one of my top recommendations for getting your health on point. Go check that out if you'd like to. And then, I know I shared a lot of tips and tools here, right? A lot of them are free. A lot of them you can start today. These are all really fantastic places to start. So seriously, don't underestimate how effective these changes are. You don't have to do it all right now. Pick the low-hanging fruit for you. So maybe it's sitting down and chewing your food. Maybe it's having a juicy ribeye for dinner. Maybe it's getting up and watching the sunrise. Wherever you're at, start there. Taking care of your body is a lifelong partnership, right? And we've got to nurture that partnership and provide compassion and self-love throughout that journey. And I know that you can do it. And if you'd like some more support on around implementing any of these tools, or diving in deeper with lab testing or one-on-one, I've got lots of resources for you, and I am totally here for it.